Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered what to do when there's a power outage? Stick around. Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, and as always, I'm here with your host, Nicholas T. Smith, the author of The Giants and the Smalls, the greatest book on planet Earth.
I was going to
And
look for the book, but I couldn't see it.
where is said book? Oh, it's on Amazon. See how I did that? It's right behind you.
It's right
There it
there.
is. Yeah. Yeah, what happened? I don't know either, but there was a
Well,
power outage. Sometimes life happens. Good morning.
good morning. So we're just going to play around for a minute.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk a little bit about beliefs too.
We might, yeah. And
Maybe. Yay!
yay. And maybe, yeah. So we're going to have to reschedule our guest because apparently in Georgia, there's some stuff going on, maybe flooding, power outages, a storm, quite a bit. So we will get her back on.
That's
She's
weird.
powerful. You're invisible, man. You should sell that on
Bottle
TikTok.
it.
Yeah. Man, I'm excited. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up for Mr. Ryan the Lion Morris. If you want to talk about that.
So we've been running the SG groups, and by we, mostly Nick, like 99.8%. There was a 0.2 that I was in there.
Yeah, he's killing it.
And so now
it's not the size.
Yeah, it's not the size of the SG that matters.
Yeah, it's how you use it.
So SG7 is going to be coming up in October, and so I'm going to be running SG7 with Nick training wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big old training wheels.
Big old, like the Hot Wheel, the big wheel bikes that used to ride with the big handlebars, the plastic giant wheels. That's the kind I'm going to be riding with Nick.
That's perfect. Yeah, we're going to train Ryan on the SG training. So SG7, we've got 10 seats that are available. And the 12 journeys, if you haven't seen the 12 journeys, it's powerful. Hi, Marie.
Thank you.
So
Facebook user, I love you.
Congratulations.
Yes, the big ass tricycle. That's what I need at the beginning.
Well, it's going to be powerful. I mean, you'll teach it in your way, and I'll try and not rant. Ryan will be like, "Please don't rant. Please don't rant. Please.
I want you to rant. We like Nick knowledge. Who else is going to talk about fractals and science?
3 F words: fractals, that one, and farts. Right?
Yeah.
The F word. But for a minute here, we can chat since our show is going to be postponed. We'll have to create a special event for her, maybe on a Thursday night or something. And so, yeah, etymology.
We'll talk about some words.
Speaking my word. But we'll talk about beliefs maybe today a little bit, and would love some feedback. So if you have some ideas around belief, this will be a dialogue. I may have some views that are strong. Ryan might have some views that are strong, but
soft
and strong. But we're open to shifting it. Yeah. I hear in training, in coaching and personal development, consistently, belief is a key component to everything that we create. And man, looking at the definition of that word, belief is something that you hold dear, right? Etymologically, you hold it dear, right? You keep it close. It's what you opine of the world. It's your opinion of the world. And so how you think it works and what you think will happen. So you make your predictions from that opinion. And so I tend to use the word opinion more. Maybe you have a different view of it, but we have these opinions about what's right or wrong, what's true and not true, what's good and bad. And then from those opinions we live. But for somebody else, we might have somebody come along and say that's right or wrong, or they have an opinion of this, and then somebody else comes along and they say something totally different, right?
Right.
I actually do have it on my phone. It's called etymonline.com, and they do have an app. And the other is Google, right? Yeah, it has been on the forefront of my mind. Who is this, by the way, Facebook user?
Awesome Facebook user.
We can't see your name, so
That's
you'll have to tell us. Yeah, it is on the top of my mind because I think it matters when we have a belief and we have an opinion about something, then it affects how we vision things. And then our vision affects our hope in that thing, which impacts our activity that we take around creating. And so if we have this idea, like some people would say, a limiting belief that, you know, I'll never be wealthy as an example, right? Money's always a thing for people, impact, freedom, family. So let's talk about, you know, just money. Like I'll never be wealthy. Then when they go to vision their world from that space of that opinion that I will never be wealthy, then they can only vision so far from that. And so they don't see beyond it. And so it becomes limiting by the nature of believing it. And therefore their hope around doing anything further than that is extinguished completely.
Mm-hmm.
And then therefore they don't act on it because they don't think they have a say in it. Right?
I think your brain then goes to support whatever thing you're thinking as well. So if you start believing that, thinking that, then your brain starts going to find reasons why you're right.
Okay, so Laura Lunt, keep going, but Laura, I'm going to anchor this in, but you keep going with this. Okay, so Laura Lunt, hi Tana, thank you. She shared an article today on confirmation bias and that there's a release of dopamine when we hear something that confirms the way we see the world. And so like what you're saying, so you have this view and then you go look for confirmation and it feels good because it aligns with what you think.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all you get is a dopamine hit. I mean, keep going. Like, so you have that view. Yeah.
I really think that, you know, you're right on the money. You've got history, however long you've been alive. You've got you've got a mixed belief of others as well. So all the opinions and all the things that other people have fed into your mind, and then you've adopted certain ones as your own, and then you start living by those beliefs and principles, or you know, or whatnot. And then so that has history as well, has weight, has gravity. We talk about that in the SG groups.
Yeah. Yep.
And so more of that gets supported over and over and over again. As you change some of your beliefs, it can feel heavy. It can feel difficult because you're not used to those, you know, some of that stuff. Your consciousness comes in and you start seeing something differently. And there's some habits and there's some patterns and there's some things that have gone on for a long period of time. So that can feel frustrating. But as you become aware, there's sometimes like where I have a conversation just as a sidebar with somebody and they're not aware that they do something. They're not aware of maybe a tick or like, you know, like a, you know, like, you know, it's just a way of being. It's just a way of being. It could be talking with your hands. It could be, yeah, there you go. Hello, Nick.
Hello. Hello.
It can be anything like that.
You're just having a conversation like, hello.
I'm gonna start doing that. I've been aware I haven't been having a conversation with my hands all these years, so here we go.
I think I might be Italian.
That's awesome. So you just have these different thoughts, these different beliefs, and they've kind of dictated how you've been your whole life. You start becoming aware of how you've been, and sometimes it could be just a kick in the gut, you know, it's a gut punch.
Yeah.
Other times, you know, you become aware of it and then you choose not to, you know, to do anything about it.
Okay, so having a gut punch is, in my view, a good thing. That means that you have a conscience around what you've created and some, you know, if there's some grief around that, not guilt, that's different. You know, grief
Mm-hmm.
would be like, yeah, I'm sad I showed up that way. Guilt would be like, you know, I'm unworthy because I showed up that way. And shame would be publicly, people think I'm unworthy because I did a thing. And I think grief over guilt would be more powerful, because
Mm-hmm.
then you could say, look, I did a thing that I'm not too proud of. And and I'm gonna recommit to do better. No, we're not.
You know
No
what? The
more
gut
gut punching.
punches are kind of good sometimes because
Yeah.
it really wakes you up to your potential, helps you to see the world in a different way and see how you're behaving or your way of being in a different way. It's just in the book. There's right there, looking up the clock tower over here too, looking up at the giants. It's that same type of thing where something comes along that changes or at least makes you aware of how you're being, and you can see those things. You can go, oh my gosh, that's crazy, and now you have an opportunity to change or not to change. That's it, really.
Yeah.
If you want to accept it or not accept it,
Yeah.
that's really it.
You could
It's
be
not a
like,
requirement.
this is who I am, bitches. This is who I am. Nothing I can do. You
Yes.
could do that, but there is a chance to transform it into something more powerful, more useful.
Hmm.
But some people do that. They'll just say, hey, nothing I can do. And their belief is there's nothing I can do. So they think and act and feel like there's nothing they can do. So that's who they become.
Hmm.
But there is an alternate truth there. There are multiple dimensions to ourselves of where we can be one thing and we can be myriad other things. So
You could be a pain today. She's not a pain. She's amazing. The best.
powerful.
This is awesome. I
Amy
I
B.
I have a friend who learned French on or learned English on TikTok. 4 or 5 months of just being on TikTok lives. This person only spoke French and learned English from TikTok. But this person would say, "Oh, my English is so bad. I'm so bad at English." And I kept reminding this person, you know, your English is getting better and better and better every single day, right? Like this is amazing. Like, this is awesome. And I watched this person start to change, like catch what they were saying, because they just kind of subconsciously kept saying that. And then over time, yeah, it's right here. It's Roxy.
Yeah.
And hey,
It's
Roxy,
me.
yay, hey, and she would change. She changed her view. She changed the way that she was speaking things into existence, and then started saying, you know, things like I'm learning to be better at English and things like that. And it's happening.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She's doing great at it.
I saw a video the other day. It says, if you're going to tell a lie, tell a better lie. Like, your brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie. It just knows whatever you're telling it. So it starts to confirm that and create that in your world. And so this coach, she was like, well, if you're going to tell yourself a lie that actually benefits you. Until you start to believe that, you start to become that, and you start to see that in your world. Like, you know, I am so good at speaking French. I'm terrible at speaking French. Like, the truth would be I'm terrible at speaking French, but a lie would be I'm an excellent French speaker, you know, like,
Yeah,
right.
I'm learning to not be as terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Something.
I don't know.
But this goes back to beliefs, you know, in the scripture, you know, there's a scripture that says, you know, all things are possible to those that believe.
Mhm.
All things. Sadhguru, you know, I mentioned this in a live I did the other day, says our job isn't to know whether things are possible. That's nature's job. Our job is to act on it.
Hmm.
Like, when we act on it, we'll see the results and the outcomes, and we can adjust accordingly. But if we've already decided in our mind that's not possible because I've never seen it in the world, then we've just told nature or God or however you want to look at it, that's not possible. And then you find these other verses and other things in all doctrines, like whether it's Buddhism or Muslims or any Islam, anything else, it's like, no, all things are possible to those that believe, right? That idea. So I just, you know, transferred that one thing over to everybody else. I'm sorry if that doesn't fit, but the idea there is that there is no limitation other than the limitation that we put on it before we act on it, which comes through our opinion of it, and that comes from our experiences. So it goes back to the idea. What's up, Nick Wadsworth? Oh man, this guy goes way back. How are you, brother? It's interesting to see that our opinions of the world affect what we think we can do. And then from what we think we can do, we create our goals and visions from that. And we limit it based on what we opine, and then from there, we either have hope for it or we don't. And therefore we act on it or we don't. And so but it all comes back to who we're being when we speak it.
How do I know the answer to this, but I wanted to hear it from you
Yeah.
because I want to hear you philosophize.
ABC. Easy as 1, 2, 3.
How do emotions and feelings and all of those things play a part in all of this? Because as you start to become aware, you're going to have a lot of these things
Yeah.
come into your world. You could have some depression, you can anxiety, all of these different emotions can come in. How do you manage that? What are some tips and tricks there?
Well, I think you have no business visioning from a negative attitude. So I think the first thing to do is get back to peace and calm and get your body settled down so that you can get your mind back. Because what happens is,
What are some ways to do that too? Like,
well, yeah, I mean, the impact of emotion comes from your thought, and your thought comes from who you are at your core. And so if at your core you think you are a certain way and you start to think the world that way, then you start to feel the world that way. And if that's a negative view, then you're not going to see opportunity. You're not going to see abundance. Therefore, your vision is going to be limited. And so when you're feeling down and negative, I don't think you imagine a brighter future from that space, because you'd have a hard time doing it anyway.
how many thoughts do you have in a day, Nicholas T. Smith?
Well, it's 50,000 to 70,000 a day. So
I've heard it described as a tree. Have you heard that? Like in the leaves of a tree? We want to talk about that real quick?
you're leading the witness, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
it were a tree, it would be
Hearsay.
all the leaves. Yeah, hearsay. I don't agree. Opinion.
Yeah.
If it were the leaves on a tree, trying to stop your thoughts is like cutting down a tree one leaf at a time. So you don't want to stop your thoughts. You want to change who you're being, and then that'll affect your thoughts. So when you change you, then you change what you think about, and then what you feel in the world. And then from what you're feelings are meant to override thought and logic. They just kind of empower it. Let's say, in a way, they might add power to it. But in a lot of cases, if you're sitting there thinking and you're facing a lion, dude, it's too late. You got to have those chemicals going like that so you don't die. And so they're meant to override. And so sometimes we think we are our feelings, and we come out of it and we're like, I know better. I've been working on this for years. I know better than this. Well, I do too. And I still go back into my emotions. I mean, I got heated the other day with a guy that I work with that my heart was pounding. Like, I'm ready to, like, in a way, punch this guy. Right. And I know better, and there's no guilt or shame in that. It's just simply that no amount of logic matters when your emotions are at play. And so you got to learn to practice to not be so reactionary when your emotions are coming up. So your primary responsibility is to calm your body down, because when you calm your body down and you get into that sympathetic or parasympathetic state, you guys can correct me, I don't know which direction that is, then then you get your brain back, and then you can vision more clearly, and then you can see abundance and possibility, right? So when you're in a negative state, your primary responsibility is to get to a calm state, to get to peace again. And then when you're in a peaceful state, then go into practicing vision and all this other stuff. Do you understand?
See?
I don't know. So that's where who you are. You always want to be in a practice of who you're becoming. Like that is the practice. It's not just that you know it. Now it's practicing into it. Man, I do speak with my hands a lot. I'm seeing that. Yeah.
I wasn't talking about you. Now I make you like super
Yeah,
self-conscious.
now I'm very aware.
I like it, Nick. I love when you speak with your hands.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Rare,
Rare.
rare. I'm wondering in the comments any views that may be differing where I can have a shift of perspective. Like I think, you know, we have our idea, and then when we get confirmation in the environment that I do this, that our idea is right, then we feel that dopamine rush, right? We
Mhm.
feel good, and then we don't question it because we feel good.
I think Nick's probably right here. Like, there's a lot of different ways that you could handle emotions.
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah, what works for you might not work for somebody else. That's why we share a bunch of different things and a bunch of different views to see what does work for people. And then when you find what works, it's just like when I went fly fishing this week
yeah.
and started out using a certain fly pattern, and it wasn't working. And so,
I just
and so, you shift. You tie on something different, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna tie on two. Double up here, see
double
what
up.
happens, and try some different things, and then started to nail it down on what's working, what's not working. And one of the guys next to me was not catching what I was catching because of that very reason.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just it was working for me, and he wasn't using what was working right either, and he wasn't changing out the fly to figure out what would work. And I did. I just shifted and said, okay, I'm going to do what works for the
I like
fish
that.
and me.
I think of, if you were fishing and you took your toolbox with you instead of all your fishing gear, you would have a completely different outcome. Like, you know which tools to bring with you because they work with you, and also what you believe in. Because if you have this opinion that, well, that's not going to work for me, and then you try it out, you'd be like, see, I told you it doesn't work. It's
You're
like a
using
late
a craftsman wrench.
dude, I swear, like, that idea is late night infomercials. Have you forgotten how to use a hammer? Are you using a hammer on your dishes to clean them? We found a better way. Yeah, don't use a hammer. Yeah, I like that, Nick. Yeah, no one way to get your emotions in check. Distractions are okay. A lot of people think distractions are not okay. Distractions are okay. It's when you get in a constant loop of never coming out of that distraction that it becomes a challenge, right?
Yes,
Um,
or destructive
or
destructive
destructive.
things
Yeah,
like
I mean, yeah,
abusing drugs, alcohol, whatever.
yeah, abusing them, beating the shit out of them.
Don't abuse them with the hammer.
Yeah, but,
I
like
used
in
a hammer this week to open up a beer bottle. That
did
was
you?
interesting. Yeah.
There you go. That's
I
one
mean,
way
I
to
didn't
do it.
drink it, but
Then you used a paper towel to clean it up off the ground and
yeah.
then squeeze the paper towel, and
Yeah.
it's no loss, no foul. Yeah, I think who you are when you use a tool as well matters. Yeah. Yeah, I know what your distraction is. I know you well, brother. Um, yeah, it's we work with a lot of our friends who are in addiction recovery, and that's a big thing, is like whether it's sex or drugs or alcohol. There's this internal battle that they have that they're just trying to soften, and then it turns into an addiction, and then the addiction starts telling them what to do in a way. And you see some of these people that have gone through there where they've transformed themselves over time, and they don't need that anymore. It's more regulated, or it's just out of their lives. So I just just thinking of what's going on internally is, yeah, sometimes we need some help with that. Sometimes what we're using as a tool um, ends up being more harmful, because we don't come out of the distraction. So it's a hard, what we do as humans going through this emotionally. I think our emotions are our biggest challenge. Emotion regulation, learning to get our emotions in check. I wasn't taught that as a kid. I'm number 9 of 11 kids, right? My mom is not there mentally. My dad is gone when I'm 2. So I'm raised by my siblings, and we're freaking feral children, basically,
I've
right?
heard just stories of four-wheeler or three-wheeler tag or
Yeah,
four-wheeler tag or whatever it was.
my brothers are like, "Hey, let's play tag on three-wheelers," and we're it.
Yeah, it's
You
just
got to run, and you're not
and we
tagged
run you over by
until
tagging
we
you.
run you over. and then I get tagged, and I'm like, "I want to turn." No, you don't know how to do it, so you can't play.
You're
That's
it
what
again.
brothers do. Yeah,
We tagged you, so you're it.
my my older brother throwing a dart in my knee, like, like stuff like that,
Or hitting you in the face with a horse trailer door.
or I go out and collect
Yeah.
a bucket full of baby rattlesnakes because I don't know that they're baby rattlesnakes. So I fill up a full bucket of them because they're cool. Look at them jumping at me. Feral children. Anyway, but going back to the idea, we went way off track there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Emotion regulation is huge. Learning to get your emotions in check, even going through elementary school, middle school, high school. Dude, I had no clue what I was doing. And then getting into relationship and then just
Well, that's
thinking
fun.
that's normal,
You bring
right?
all that into a relationship, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good for it. So
So
good for
good.
it. It's like a nice massage.
Yeah.
Right?
Relationship massage. Spa day.
I might write a book called How to Get Divorced in 17 Years Flat. Like,
I mean, at 18, we don't know, but
yeah,
17.
yeah. 18, I'm not sure. Never been there. But it comes down to I wasn't doing my work, but I didn't even know how to
Good.
do
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
It probably doesn't
maybe,
help.
Nick. Maybe.
Adds a
Maybe.
few thoughts, one or
It
two
may be
or
something to do
three.
with you as well inside of that, but
Yeah.
something to look at, I don't know the other people, but that's funny. It's let's look at this. Find myself needing more support than I'm comfortable with. Hyper independent. I think hyper independence, for me, I liked being alone as a kid. It was my way of coping. And so now as an adult, I'm more introverted. I can be with groups, but I get tired by it. And so I like to retreat and just be alone. And for people, they're like, "Are we good?" Like I have people reach out, "Are we good?" I'd be like, if I haven't talked to you in a year and we pick up and we just
We're
take off like
great.
it never happened, we're golden, right? And they're like, "I need to hear from you every 5 minutes, man. Like, are we good?" Like that's a response for me from, dealing with my emotions as a kid. Yeah, I see it as a trauma response or a neglect response or a coping response, right? Yeah, it's just our way of managing intensity, managing the stress. So nothing wrong with it. It's just we know what we're working with. So
There was this guy, and his name was Ben, and he was in the campground. The only other guy that was in the campground, and big bushy beard, long hair, little overweight, and he'd run around the camp with no shirt on, just with pants, boots, a knife, a gun, and
what's
we're
your
like,
name?
yeah,
Bend over.
Ben,
Nice to
bend
meet you,
over.
Ben.
It's like, you know, and so we're sitting in the camp one night, and the sun's starting to go down a little bit, and it's probably about 6 o'clock. And this dude comes, like, is yelling in his campground. We thought he was either high or drunk or something. We didn't know what was going on, but he was alone. So or maybe he was schizophrenic or something. But he just starts running towards us from across the campground with a sawed-off shotgun. Oh yeah, this was real. Comes running at us full bore, and about halfway starts screaming, "There's a bear!" Okay. So I go running to my trailer, which I have a handgun, a 10 millimeter handgun is a nice size gun. And, I don't know if I have to shoot him or the bear. I'm not sure at this point,
Well,
right?
probably him, and that
Yeah.
solves everything,
Yeah.
right? That just
Yeah.
takes care of the bear.
He then chases said bear into a tree, trees the bear by yelling at it. It's like, "Rawr, rawr," just yelling at this thing. It goes up the tree. He goes then and tries to take a bunch of sticks, duct tapes them together with an arrow on the end to try to get this bear. which is not a great idea. You don't want to poke the bear. And that's when I learned he's been alone too long, way too long. And it was in that moment that I had this really like hyper awareness of how nervous I was and how much I depended on other people. And I don't ever want to be Ben, ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben, for the
Yeah.
lesson.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben, for that, because it was interesting. I'll post a picture in the tribe
Well,
of Ben
you
poking,
were
and maybe a
hanging with
video.
Jordan, who was on the show alone, right?
Yeah.
And I saw his episode when he was on Alone, and
Yeah.
it's
Jordan Bell, if you
amazing.
look up Jordan Bell
Yep.
on season 8 of Alone.
Yeah, and his, when he chose to go back home, when he chose to go back home, right? It's like the mentality of being alone. Like, we're truly never alone. Right? I have my kids around me, so I might say I'm introverted, but I love having my kids around me and all this stuff. So you know what blows my mind is we got 10 live viewers, 56 comments, all these react. Like, we're not talking about anything. Like, we're just rambling here. It's amazing. Thanks, guys.
About being alone and emotions and beliefs.
Yeah, we'll tie it back around eventually.
Yeah.
But I think, the idea of being truly alone is what they found to be one of the most damaging things you could do to a human. Pure isolation will actually destroy a human. There's another thing called a panocular prison. I don't know if you've heard of that. I think it's called panocular, where they put a tower.
Do I want to Google it, or what's going to come up?
Well, you could if you're curious. But what it is over observation also does the same thing to a human. So if they never feel like they have privacy or they have too much aloneness, then it's like these two ends of the spectrum. But panopticon, I think, is what it was called. But they
don't look up panocular.
No, yeah, it's different. but the idea that they were watched nonstop and that they could see everything they were doing put people under so much stress that they were losing their minds. And so, yeah, it's crazy. Hey, Fiona.
Hello.
Fiona Rouse. Yeah, man, we got some great people on here, all the way from the UK.
What time is it? It's in the afternoon.
I don't know.
They're
about 6-7 hours ahead of us. So great to have you on, Fiona.
4:44 p.m.
If you have, wow, dude, timing. If you haven't watched her show, No More Pea Soup, on our network on the YouTube channel, Wake Up with Giants TV, go check it out. No More Pea Soup. She just interviewed Perry Power. Awesome. If you want to see an inspirational story, that's one that you'll want to watch. So we'll do a little plug for that. Maybe we'll throw one of these in there. There we go. Yeah. Well, so tying that back into belief, like an aloneness, too much observation, who we think we are because of the culture that we were raised in, the society, the political views, the religious views that we have adopted and adapted to say, this is who I am. Then the opinions that we form from that. And then those opinions form our predictions about what's going to play out. And then based on those predictions, we haven't even spoken this into the world yet. We have these predictions going on, and then we think this is how it's going to play out. So what's the point? Or hell yeah, I'm all in. And then we have emotions come up like I'm excited, or I feel really defeated and sad and down and depressed, right? And then we think that we're those emotions more than our thoughts. So we kind of give in to those emotions one way or the other, and we either act or we don't act. And we create the reality that we're perceiving from who we're being. Like there's a big loop there. And the way you transform who you're being is what you practice in the world, because the mind knows through repetition what to support and what not to support. And it's designed to support what you repeatedly do. And that repeated doing comes from your consciousness. I hope you guys are hanging with this big loop that I'm explaining here, that your view, your opinions of the world, your beliefs of the world are coming from who you're being. Like who you think you are tells you what to believe in. And then that belief tells you what to vision and set goals toward, because you'll decide from there whether you think you can do it or not. And so if you want to change that, and this is where the 12 journeys come in. it takes at least 66 days to create a new habit. And sometimes it's a lifetime consciousness and a choice to be disciplined in that area because that's what you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you practice it repeatedly, and then the brain starts to help automate it so it becomes second nature. But without that practice, there is no automation. So you can't just learn something and then think you're automatically going to change. But learning is the seed to that change. I think it's important to keep plugging in information. Yeah. Because then you start to create the networks and the pathways that will later on become the behaviors. And so information is important. You want to learn. But here's what happens is people wake up to the way they're doing things and they go right into judgment and shame and guilt about what they've been doing. And when you're in judgment and shame and guilt, you are out of learning. Nothing to learn because you're justified in the truth that you just declared about yourself. And so there's nothing to learn, because if you're this, what's the point of learning that? And so you've got to get into a space of acceptance where you can move through and let go of who you think you are for a minute, or allow it to be what it is.
Is that like a bear in the field?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ben should have just left the damn bear alone.
It was a bear in the field, right? A bear in the camp is a little different.
Yeah, bear in the camp is a little bit disturbing.
I like
Ben in the camp is as well.
I like the salmon, the guy fighting the bear over the salmon. That video, that ad. Yeah, right. I wish I could play it here, but it's like fighting at karate. He kicks the bear in the groin. Steals its fish. And he takes it like matter of fact. Yeah. And walks away. Yeah. Let the bear in the field be the bear in the field.
Just accept that it is what it is, and then from that point you can start to move forward.
Yeah. Man, I would say if you're watching this and you're having a hard time breaking through that, and you're stuck in a cycle and you feel like you're stuck in a loop, Groundhog Day, and you want to have a quick conversation around this, like reach out to Ryan, or Ryan will create a conversation. So we won't be selling you anything in that.
Hello.
We'll just talk. Speak to the puppet. Hello.
That's the only requirement, is that we speak with our hands. You can call, but it has to be a video chat with our hands.
And you can't move your lips. Ventriloquism.
Yeah.
That's going to be practice. For Nick, I have zero accountability, zero responsibility, zero friends. Guess what that leads to? Man.
That can be tough. But guess what? Here's the thing that we talk about all the time, Nick, is that you're not alone. That, there's people like us that, hey, look, we never have enough friends. So I'd love to get to know you, brother. Nick knows you better than I do, but you're more than welcome to join up with us. And if you need anything from us and have some responsibility and some accountability, we can have conversations around that and just chat.
Yeah. I want to leave that up for a minute. I want to speak to that a little bit too. Like advice, I'll share some things that have worked for me. That's it. Not advice. If it inspires you to do something, great. Zero accountability, zero responsibility. So these are judgments. So, saying that you have no responsibility, no friends, I can understand that as a measurable thing. You might have literally no friends, right? That might lead to some depression. That might lead to some anxiety, right? That might lead to feeling really negative emotions. And then those emotions can really feel like that's who you are. And so in this space, it's going to be a discipline more than a desire to change this, because the discipline is going to be, I choose every day. And when I fall off the bandwagon, then I'm going to get back on. Yeah, Amy, exactly. There's some empathy for this, because I can see myself in what you just shared.
100%.
Right? So, and I've been through what you're talking about, and I've been through some dark days where I didn't want to keep going.
I still feel some of that.
Yeah.
Some days.
And it does come back. And the practice is a decision, which means to cut off the old path. Like, I'm in. And then discipline over desire, because you might not be motivated to do it. You might be heavy in your emotions, and those emotions are going to tell you, let's not do this today. Let's not do this.
This
So
reminds me of your weight loss too, Nick, like getting into shape. And like I'm sure there's days where you wake up and you're like, the last thing you want to do on earth is go to the gym, but you started to become disciplined in showing up and
discipline, yeah, it's grit over desire. It's discipline over desire. It's I'm choosing in, and no matter what I'm feeling, I am not my emotions. I am disciplined in this thing that I'm choosing to do.
you're being
Until that,
disciplined.
yeah, until that thing becomes what I want it to become. It's grit. But it's grit on an internal level, not an external. We're used to putting grit out here. We're used to like pushing so hard out here for things to change without doing the work in here. And we're pretty effective at blasting through mountains. And Nick, you're from the Wadsworth family. You know what it's like to blast freeways and build bridges and do things that shouldn't be done under a natural path. You know, it's like you guys create it. You have grit with it. But the willpower. Okay, let's talk about this. Man, I'm like, thank you. First, thank you. Like, problem is the willpower. Like, willpower isn't for other people. We're not meant to put will on other people. We're meant to put it on ourselves. And when it's depleted, then we got to rest. So, and the challenge with resting is we won't let ourselves rest because we're too guilty of whatever we think we're guilty of. And we can't shut our minds off because we've got to keep processing all these thoughts that we think we are. It wears us out to where Ryan, you and I've had times where I'm like, I can't go any further, man. I got to take a break. And I've stepped back from everything, social media, everything. I stepped back
Both
from
of us
even
have.
trying. Yeah. You had your period this year.
My man period.
Your man period this year. Shoot.
Sometimes you need it.
You know what's funny is my we're gonna get off track here. My daughter, my brother comes up once a month, and my daughter, she says, it's like he's a period. He comes up once a month. And I'm like, actually, you're not wrong. That's actually pretty accurate. Anyway, getting back to this, Nick, that the judgments, right? Fiona, you're hitting on it right here. The forgiveness of the judgments, like our judgments, we're so hard on ourselves, right? That if we can forgive our judgments of ourselves, then we can start to grow ourselves in ways we've never imagined. If we're rejecting of ourselves, if we're feeling shame, and these are judgments, then we don't move into acceptance. And acceptance doesn't mean you love it and that you want to stay that way. It just means it is what it is. Like, this is where I'm at. This is what's going on. And if you can move into acceptance, then it creates some breathing room, and you'll notice that your power starts to come back, Nick. So the practice isn't to have willpower to be different at that point. It's to be calm. It's to be at peace with what is. And that's a practice. I have some friends
talk about salmonic action. Sorry, and then hold that thought too. But Nick talks about salmonic action when just life and all the emotions and all the things are happening around you. To practice the being still. A salmon in the roughest of waters will pull itself, behind a rock where it's calm water, and then wait and rest until it can get up the energy to dart upstream.
Even without the rock, it will hold firm in the most rough waters without moving, because it creates a vortex around itself. And if we use that as an analogy for us, is no matter what's going on in our world, if we can hold our peace and stay calm, then in that calmness, we'll see opportunity. And then lightning speed will move upstream toward it rather than floating downstream with everybody else, and we live in a time where it is a bit chaotic, where people can float downstream. And so that practice of just being at peace and calm is the practice, because when you're in a state of peace and calm, you have full capacity of your mind and body. And then from there, you're able to see solutions and abundance and vision. But if you're in a chaotic state, you're in survival mode. And your only goal in survival mode is to survive. And the challenge is some people have been in survival mode their entire life. So they don't know what it feels like to be at peace. Their normal is chaos. And so the practice is learning to experience peace no matter what's going on. I mean, I had 10 years where I was straight anxiety, where in 2017 I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder. I couldn't get a grip on it, couldn't get a handle on it. Going through the divorce was like the peak of it. It was just like, holy shit, dude, how much more of this is there? And then I went through a slump of depression. Like I got hopeless, but there were tools that I learned that I started to get disciplined with. And you remember this is I would share openly, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going to practice. This is what I'm committed to creating. And I would practice it every day. Here it's been 3 years since the divorce. Next month, 3 years. And I'm at peace with it. I'm at peace with her. We're friendly. It's I'm at peace with
Great
my wife.
relationship with the kids, you know.
Excellent. Yeah, dude. My kids will talk to me and share what's going on in their world, even the deep and heavy stuff. Like they want to hang around me. I didn't have that when I first got divorced. They were pretty frustrated and upset. And so, but it was a practice. It wasn't because I felt like shit most days, right? The practice was getting okay with feeling like shit. Because we don't let ourselves feel okay with this is what's going on in my life. We think it has to be different. So we reject it and we resist it. And that resistance creates a loss of willpower where we succumb, and then we lean on our distractions, and those distractions become more appealing than doing the work because it's freaking hard.
You hear that which we resist persists. It'll keep coming up.
Yeah.
If you can't find the peace.
So like that's our goal with the 12 journeys, Ryan, is our first 6 journeys are all about getting into that space of peace. I've had people go through 3 times on the journeys. And it's not because they don't get it. It's because they want to stay in that energy of practicing it. Like when they go through the 12 journeys with us, those first 6 journeys are hard because you're really taking a look at your life. There's no more just going automatic on it. You're paying attention to what you do unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And not only are you doing that, but you're allowing it. And that's the opposite of what most people do. They want to shut it off, stop it, all this stuff. We don't. No, it's coming along. In fact, it's allowed to be there the entire journey. Maybe it'll be there the rest of your life, but you're going to learn to love it and embrace it and bring it along. So, yeah. I have no doubt, Nick. I know your journey. I know your family, man. There's a story there that's keeping you stuck. Might be worth having a conversation.
I remember, Nick, when I started telling you my story, and you looked at me, you listened for a minute, and you said, "That's a really great story, Ryan." But I'm not buying it, and that because we get lost in our stories that we think they define us. We think our past defines us. The truth is, we can choose at any point in time to be, do, or have anything different, anything we want.
Can you bring that back up? Bring his back up, like what you're sharing right here while you say that.
That doesn't diminish what you've been through, Nick.
Yeah.
Is it that sounds tough, sounds shitty, sounds hard. It probably was, but that's the story you're holding on to. I think that there's a pretty incredible giant hidden deep inside there. That's putting a layers and layers and layers and wrapping themselves up to protect themselves, and that's the story. And so you're creating things based on that story, and that's not. I mean, that can sound harsh. That's I wanted to punch Nick, right? Hello.
Well, okay, so other people have said a similar thing. Jen Walter. We came up with the term FUTU, fuck you, thank you. Like that's what it means. FUTU, fuck you, thank you. I need that. That sucked. I needed to hear that. And man, my life revolves around the regrets I have.
Nope.
the
I mean,
regrets,
it
right?
can be a religious program too. Sorry, this was the comment. If I
Yeah,
mean, if
no,
that's what you believe, you can use it in religion, but it's not a religious
no,
program.
definitely.
This definitely not.
No, and people just bring it in wherever they're at when they come in. But man, our stories are so impactful. Like going back to the idea of belief, right? Our stories are our justifications for our world. They are our judgments of the world. Therefore, they are our truths of the world. And from those truths, we have our opinions or beliefs of the world. And it's from those opinions and beliefs that we start to predict our world. Yeah. Yeah. And Nick,
I get it.
this is a chance to really just be in a space of holding space for where you're at in those regrets. To man, and this isn't a religious thing, right? But to embrace who you are fully right now, because this is where you are. You know, we have the X, and I don't have it on me right now, but the X is where you are, is where you're going to launch from, right? This is it. This is who you are at the time you launch. This is where you are at the time you launch. This is what you have to work with at the time you launch. And it's everything you need to create anything you can imagine in your world. Anything. And Nick, you've got a community of people right now in the Tribe of Giants. If you want to join the Tribe of Giants, you'll see a bunch of people doing their own work in there. But it's all around this idea of we are internally creating ourselves to create our outer world. And the stories that you're telling yourself end up as a reflection in the outer world. Like I think Steve Hardison says that, you know, if you don't do the inner work, it's like frosting dog shit. You can put any tool you want on top of it, it's not going to matter, right? So until you do that inner work, you're just putting stuff on a broken model or broken system. So you want to do that healing first in here. And man, the biggest thing that people have a struggle with is forgiving themselves for their judgments and letting go of who they think they are because of their past. Hugh, you're another awesome example of this. I see you doing your work, man. I'm grateful. You and I butt heads sometimes. Well, in my world, I think we butt heads, but I think in your world, you're like, this is fun. And I love the shit out of you, dude. Hugh, White Buffalo. We all have stories. We all have a past of some sort, right? So you can let that define you, or you can start to create it a different way. And I'm of the belief and the opinion that you can do that, but you got to do the work. Yeah, Cindy, thank you. We all have lots to work on. A little more language today than normal, but hey, I'm not going to change it. That is something I'm going to hold on to. Yeah, for me, it works. It may not work for you. If it gets in the way of your learning, then I'll find another way to teach.
The beeper button was broken. I couldn't.
Yeah, the beeper's broken.
It's usually off anyway.
You know, we're at 100 comments almost on here, and a consistent, you know, viewing all the way through. Like, thank you guys for what you're doing. Our programs are designed. No mothers. I'm an orphan. I can't even go to a family doctor. You know, our programs are designed around helping people through these processes, because you can do it on your own, but I've had help through my journey. I've had coaches like Debbie Roth, Townsend Wardlaw, Stephen McGee, Steve Hardison, Steve Chandler. Like, I got to go through Steve Chandler's coaching school at the very beginning when I was starting and launching. Dina Layton, all these people that, going dark. I'll be careful. These are all mentors that helped me while they let me stand on their shoulder while I was doing my own work. You know, I've learned from Ryan Morris. I've learned from others that have, you know, gone through our programs. I learned through our clients, watching them do their work. I'm like, holy cow, there's something I can do there. Our interviews that we do every week, these people that are telling us their journeys, we get free coaching every week. Every freaking week, dude. And these guys are so open with the information. People like Nick Nanton, Dr. Will, you know.
Yeah, Dr. Will.
Yeah, Dorothy Inez. There's so many more. Amy Bernier.
The Queen of Shine.
And we got so many people that we learn from.
Amanda Monk. There's one.
Hi, Amanda Monk. Hey, Amanda Monk.
That was timely.
Yeah, she's been a coach and a mentor of mine, Lindsay Maxfield. I think she goes by Gaia Prism. Phenomenal, different view. Amy Bingham is another one. Alyssa Ann. I learned from all these people. Fiona, I've been coached by Fiona. She's powerful. She works with men, men who are struggling with masculinity. It's crazy, but she's phenomenal at it. And so, these people were there for me. So why not lean on people? It's not neediness when you lean on others to learn from them so that you can do your work, because you're not expecting them to do your work. Like, I still went back and did my work. But it gives you hope because you start to see yourself in their story. You start to reflect, who you are in their presence. They do say that we become who we associate with, whether we're in proximity or not. We still become like those people. Mm-hmm. And it's what you're learning that you become. It's who you associate with that you become. And it's what you practice that you become. And so what are you learning? Who are you hanging out with? What are you practicing? And I'm not talking big things. I'm talking the small steps repeated that create the complexity of your life. So Nick, like what you're talking about right now in this moment, you might be in the regret today. And number one thing that I would do with you is just hold some space for you to just be right there, whatever that is. And then the next thing we would do is we would grieve what needs to be grieved. We would create some space for the loss that you have, the loss around what was lost, and the ideals that you have about who you should be right now. Like, we would grieve that. And then we would work toward releasing any judgments and forgiving those judgments. And then we would move toward a space of gratitude. And then it's a practice of, like you said, Ryan, repetition, right? We would repeat. And you can bring your story along. I don't care. Bring your story. That's what we're working with. That's where you are. That's who you are at this moment, right? And then from there, once you're at a space of peace with that, then we'll work on vision. Then we'll work on seeing the abundance of the world that's already there. You're suffering in paradise, right? Who is that? Byron Katie says that. You're suffering in paradise. And it's all about that, who you're seeing yourself as in this world. And that's my goal, is to help you see how powerful you actually are. That's been my practice. I mean, Nick, you know me, you have a history on me going back. We would drink beer. I remember throwing rocks up at my brother on the top of the silo where he almost fell down on the pile of steel, right? Like, he's like, you can't hit me from there. And I threw a rock and I hit him right in the middle of the chest. And he's 50 feet in the air over a silo. I mean, we did some crazy stuff. Nick is an incredible pilot. If you ever want to have an adrenaline rush and fly, Nick is an incredible pilot. He's an incredible creator. He's very talented. I've seen his work, right? But none of that matters if Nick doesn't see it. Oh yeah, I remember flipping upside. Dude, you are insane, bro. And I love it. And my brother talks about you waking him up out on the ranch recently, where you fly over at like 50 feet above his house at 200, 300 miles an hour. Pretty rad, dude. But if you can't see it, Nick, none of this matters, right? The world can praise the shit out of you, but if you can't, you won't hear it. And so that's what our work is to wake you up, to help you remember, help you clear out so that you can do more. So I can't guarantee that you'll find a wife and have kids. You might have a wife here already on this show that's watching you. It's like, I kind of like Nick. He seems interesting, right? They might reach out. But the idea here is that you've got to do your work. I can't do it for you. I can't go to the gym and give you my muscles. It doesn't work that way. So no matter what I teach you, the practice is yours, right?
I'm like, boo.
Boo.
Not even a little bit?
Even 1 ounce? A little protein?
Yeah. Here we go. See? We'll start with a date.
Might be something there. Dude, you never know. Nick's a good dude. Makes a good tribe of
matchmaking.
matchmaking. Yeah.
That's right. Here we go.
Probably more than you know. Honest
You never
matchmaking on
know.
a Sunday morning. You know, you're not alone. That's the other thing is you're not alone. You're not the only one. I hate to burst your bubble, but you're not special.
Mhm.
And I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean that you are not unique. I mean, we have 4,300 tribe members right now that are all doing their own work in similar ways, right? I have a client that came out of South Africa that's going through this on his own journey, right? The UK, Australia, Canada, India. Like, you are not alone in your challenge. These challenges are faced by people all over the world in different cultures, in different circumstances, different religious views, different political views. I don't care what you believe that way. Like, what I care about is who you think you are.
Yeah, and the
So,
crazy thing is like your Everest, or the things that you think are small or little might be somebody else's Everest. And so, we take people where they're at and like, hey, these are their challenges. You've got some
yeah,
challenges, you got some things that you've been through. That's the story. And where are we going? Let's go.
yeah.
Let's roll. He just said, had the blessing of stumbling upon us today.
Huh.
And we're glad you did,
That's
brother.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, brother. There's more. There's 500 videos on YouTube. There we have the webinar. Like, if you're curious about what we teach, the webinars and the master classes of the 12 journeys are there on YouTube. You can watch them all. You can go through a course. Like, if it serves you, I don't care how you go through it, right? Just come hang out, come be a part of the tribe and start sharing your journey and watch the support show up. Yeah. Well, so I don't think I want to do that either right now.
That's okay. See,
Yeah,
that's the beautiful
LOL.
thing. You can do whatever you want.
Right? I'm not ready for that either.
Yep. That single life.
That single life. Own it. Own it. Yeah, just come get supported. There's people like Larissa Flores, who's doing her work. Hugh Jacobson is doing his work, and everybody has different views. I mean, if we're trying to figure out who's right or wrong, then you pick the wrong fucking group for that, because there's a lot of different views.
I'm wrong a lot.
I am too. I get some adjustments, man. Like, Hugh will say stuff to me and I'll be like, damn it, Hugh. Awesome.
Let's
man.
go, Nick. Let's
awesome.
go.
Let's do it.
Talk. Yeah.
Let's do
it. Reach out to Nick. Nick, reach out to Nick.
Nick.
Yeah. Nick.
Well, anybody that is watching this and wants to have a quick conversation and wants to explore the 12 journeys for you, like, let's just talk, like, what do you have to lose? I'd shift that to, what do you have to gain, man? Your life has been what it is.
Not selfish at all. This was perfect, because this tied right into everything that we talk about, Nick, and it's just spurred the conversation along.
Yeah.
Happened to get very focused, but that's
yeah.
There's so many people that sit here and go, they're just watching and that are gonna watch. They're like, that's my life.
I mean, look at these comments, 139 comments, man. That's amazing across the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
It's just beautiful. Yeah.
And this is the most important thing right here, is that we hold space. We work together. We love each other no matter what. And, just help each other along the journey. That's really what it's about.
I think it's rad, man. Thank you, Nick, for being bold enough to share where you're at.
Nick, you're right on time, brother. You're exactly where you're supposed to be today.
Yeah.
And we got the privilege of being here with you.
Yeah, we've had the honor of, having people go through our group, and Fiona, Amy, gone through the training, and Laura Lunt, Dorothy Inez.
Amanda's come in and supported. That was awesome.
Yeah. So if that would serve you and speak to you and turning your life around, it's powerful. We don't mess around. We don't play in there. We create. So yeah, Fiona, I agree. There's a difference between selfish and see, Nick, Fiona's somebody to have a conversation with too. I won't tell your entire story, but man, you have a journey. I'll let you share that if you ever want to share that. But man, you come from a line of driven change making people, and you are that, even though sometimes maybe you didn't see that. So interesting, man. Huh. Thank you. Huh. Appreciate you, brother. Well, I've got to do a coaching call here in a few minutes, so I'm going to have to cut short here. But anybody watching this, thank you for being a part of our journey. And I want to speak through the camera here because sometimes I speak to the camera, but I love the comments because they draw me through the camera to you, right? Is we wouldn't be here without you. Without your differing views and opinions, we wouldn't have adjusted or even created what we have today. It couldn't be possible because we needed your differing views for that to happen. You showed us what you need. You showed us what you need help with, where your biggest challenges are. A lot of it comes around the idea of self-worth and value, right? Paul Cardall, what's up, brother?
Love you, brother.
So we're so thankful for you. Like Ryan and I have been busting for about 2.5 years, since we launched the book, March 17th, 2020. March 17th, 2020, we launched the Kickstarter campaign for the book, and the economy shut down. COVID shut it all down, right? We were ready to go live, shut it all down. And we pivoted. We're like, we're not going to let this stop us. And we fucking ran, and we went with it. And it was hard. And I say, it took off like an albatross. It was floppy and running, and it didn't seem like it was ever going to get off the ground. And then a week before, it launched. And ever since then, we haven't looked back, and we haven't slowed down, even though we might not be showing as much of our grit, because we're back grinding on this to help create it and loving it into creation and listening to it as it grows. But we have not stopped creating this since that time that we launched, and even before that. We are committed to this creation, and it's growing, and we see it. But
And
a lot of it
I would do it all again just for Nick.
I know that about you, man. I know that about you. See, like, this is the one thing that I'm grateful for is I know your heart, man. And I know the heart of the people that I work with. And sometimes there's a lot of judgments that come up from other people around the things that we do or who we are in the world, and the taboos and all the things that come up, right? But who we are as a person is right there, man. And I know yours, Ryan, and I'm so grateful for that. Like your heart, like what you're showing right here, that's not a lie. This isn't a show. Like, I know that about you. You never do things for others with an expectation that they need to do something back. I've yet to have you ask me for something in return for all the things that you do. And I guarantee that there are people in this group who've received from you, and I think you need to hear this right now, that have never been asked to do anything in return for your giving. I mean, that's the kind of heart that you have. And so I just, if people could remember that, a lot of times we get into our judgments about other people based on what we think we know. And then we let those cloud our connection and relationship with those people because we think we know better. Right. So, without sharing everybody's personal stuff here, I love the shit out of you, brother. Thank you.
Love you too.
And for those that are watching, the same thing, like Amanda and Fiona, like, I see you guys out there. Amy, I see you guys out there doing the work. It's hard. Yeah. He is the first always. See, always out there, like, loving on people. when he has that shirt on, says, "I love you too," that's not a lie. So Larissa, grateful to have you too. Yeah, that's all we can do is inspire. That's it. Yeah. Little Cub is full. Yes, sir. Yeah. He is, Nick. Hell of a good dude. Yep. Hell of a good dude. And Amanda, thank you. Yeah. Yep. The heart tells all. The heart speaks the truth. What's at the core is what matters. Most people are good. There are a few who are buttholes, assholes. There are.
Just a couple.
But for the most part, most people have a good heart. And if you can get to it, you can help them shift things in their world. And so I think what we're practicing into is recognizing that more and more, and then serving from where we are. You know, our programs are all around not us rescuing you. It's not easy. It's teaching you the tools that you can do this forever. Like if we had a single conversation, I would imagine if we had one conversation, it would change your world to to where I am talking about you, Hugh. It would change your world where you might never need another conversation in your life. And my goal isn't to get you hooked on a drug called the Giants and the Smalls or the 12 Journeys. My job is to teach you principles and tools that will help you to do this for yourself the rest of your life. You will never forget this. When you go through our programs, you will have a tool that will underlie everything that you create and become a foundation for all of it. And if you did Fiona's program or Amy's program that she's running right now, if you did Amanda's program, it will empower that program because of who you are in that program. Therefore, every other skill that you add to this from here on out will have a foundation that makes it even more powerful. It's like putting the right fuel in the system. It's like putting the right batteries in the program, right? So that's what we do. And our 12 journeys are all about that, right? We want your life to change and not be like me or Ryan. I don't want you to be like me or Ryan. That'd be weird as shit, dude.
Really weird.
We would have awkward conversations late at night. Yeah. Smoke cigars together. Yeah. Unless you're into smoking cigars, then we can smoke a cigar. But
yeah.
Man, that's Ryan. I've ranted and yeah.
This is different. This is.
I went through impact training. No, it's not impact training. This is totally different. So
I just, we knew this morning when there was a power outage and our guest wasn't going to be able to make it on, that there would be something powerful behind it. And sometimes you get a little pit in your stomach because you're like, okay, how's this going to go? Right? You start thinking about it. We just said, well, it's going to go how it goes. It means it's going to be an amazing show. And had no idea exactly what this was going to turn out to be, and it was right on time. It was exactly where we needed to be, and so thank you all for spending some time with us this morning. We love you all.
Make it a giant day. Yeah. We will see you in the next video next week.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you.